A Russian man has allegedly hacked into millions of U.S. computers in what is being called one of the largest cyber attacks on personal and corporate data to date. So the hacker Bogashev led a hacking gang that carried out some global cyber schemes, some of which were absolutely detrimental. So the FBI calls one of their schemes, the Game Over Sue's botnet, quote, the most sophisticated botnet the FBI and our allies have ever attempted to disrupt. So it's a pretty big deal, and the reason why it's a pretty big deal is that nearly 1 million computers were disrupted with this particular bot, and it was over $100 million that were stolen from different sites in different manners.
Huge amount of money.
Huge.
Lots of accounts compromised. Everyone from police departments to individuals to companies in all different parts of the world over a period of time, and they seem to almost get away with it if the FBI weren't able to crack some of the most, apparently the most sophisticated bots they've ever tried to attack. That's crazy.
So that's what the Justice Department is saying. So we're stepping up our efforts because the hackers are getting so incredibly sophisticated that we need to increase our technology and ensure that we monitor data. So as the Attorney General James Cole stated, quote, we succeeded in disabling Game Over Sue's and CryptoLocker only because we blended innovative legal and technical tactics with traditional law enforcement tools and developed strong working relationships with private industry experts and law enforcement counterparts in more than 10 countries.
So they're excited, they're bragging. I mean, they have the right to brag because it sounded like a pretty sophisticated operation. But the question is, I mean, it took them a while. These people suffered. Are
Since
they going to
2011?
And what's going to happen now, Lisa? Do they get their money back?
Exactly. So that's a fantastic question. So if there was it depends. That's the honest answer. So the police department, for example, in Massachusetts, only lost $750 with the CryptoLocker, right? Asking for a ransom for their data, so they paid $750. They're probably not getting that back. But if you, as a consumer, had your password stolen for a bank, the bank is responsible for paying you, so you as a consumer aren't responsible. But the question is what's going to happen with these banks. They were able to recover some of the funds and track the accounts, so the theory is that we'll get that money back, but we're not really sure. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that have been funneled out of the U.S. to many overseas accounts.
Right. Now, those people definitely deserve to get their money back. I suppose bank policy plays some kind of role, but they're probably protected. But you touch on such an interesting point, which is that the methods that these hackers are using are starting to change. Like some of them were just stealing passwords and transferring money around, taking bits and pieces, but this ransom piece is kind of interesting because I think just a couple weeks ago there was a story about people's iPhones being held captive and then ransomed back to the people, like we will release your phone if you pay us money. And that's exactly what these guys did to the police department.
That's exactly what they're doing to the police department. That's exactly what they did to consumers and people just like you and I. So they were saying, we have your personal data. We won't give you your personal data if you don't give us $500. And then people would get so freaked out. They say, oh, okay, we'll give you the money.
Is this a glimpse of what our banking future is like?
I really hope not, and that's what's scary, right? That technology has disrupted our financial system to such a point that there are these huge mobs now that are like techno mobs, right? They're like super high, they're highly influential technologically and globally. Before you had a mob, and yeah, it could, if it was in like maybe the US, it could kind of influence Russia, China, but really you didn't have access to people all over the world and globally like they do now. They have so much more power to really fuck us over. That's what's scary to me. That's what's really scary. But I mean, I don't know. Have you ever seen any emails like this? I've definitely gotten emails like this. It's just like that are scams or anything like that.
Right, the strange, suspicious phishing
totally
emails
strange.
and stuff
And
like
they keep getting better and better. So that's the question, like how can we protect ourselves? Now, what I'm really kind of concerned about too is that perhaps because this is happening, people are much more likely to offer up their information. And they're saying, oh, the NSA is getting our information, but see, this is why. It's because our money gets stolen. That I'm concerned about. But what do you think we should do about this? Should we give more oversight or allow other entities like the Justice Department to have more access to our information or protect us? Or do you feel like this story is kind of being touted as a win so that we give up more of our privacy? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe to Lit TV.